Though things have settled down a bit, AEW has definitely had some growing pains in its early going. These are the PR snarls we'll never forget. CM Punk's debut in AEW in 2021 was the best thing to ever happen to the company, until it became the worst thing to ever happen to it. Punk's frustrations all came out a little over a year after his arrival at the All Out 2022 media scrum. He denied rumors that he had strong-armed his former friend Colt Cabana out of AEW TV time. He said EVPs Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks couldn't manage a target. He complained that Hangman Adam Page had gone off script in a promo segment.
Old and tired, and I work with children.
Immediately after the scrum, Punk, the Young Bucks, Omega, and producer Ace Steel got into a shoot fight in Punk's locker room. Steel reportedly bit Omega on the arm, and the bite marks were visible on a live stream. On the following episode of Dynamite, AEW President Tony Khan stripped Punk of the world title and took the trio's titles off of Omega and the Bucks. The Young Bucks and Omega returned 2 months later at Full Gear, but Punk would stay away for a full 9 months because he was also rehabbing a triceps injury. He finally returned on the June 2023 premiere episode of Collision, a show that Punk essentially confirmed started so he and the EVPs could remain separate. Punk's run with AEW ended after yet another backstage altercation at All In August 2023. He got into an argument with Jack Perry over the use of real glass in a match. Punk got physical and briefly put Perry in a chokehold. Less than a week later, AEW announced that Punk had been fired over the incident. In a move that fans will debate the efficacy of for years to come, AEW aired footage of the fight on Dynamite in April 2024. Punk returned to WWE in November 2023. In early 2022, MJF reportedly wasn't very happy with what he was being paid. Reports that the star had a heated meeting with Tony Khan were hitting the dirt sheets, and then MJF no-showed his scheduled meet and greet ahead of the Double or Nothing pay-per-view in May.
If you don't want to pay me what I'm worth, Daddy does not show up to work.
He made the show itself, though, losing the opening match to his former assistant, Wardlow. MJF basically got squashed, taking 10 powerbombs. He also mimicked a plane during his entrance, mocking rumors that he had bought a plane ticket to leave the event altogether. On the following Dynamite, a furious MJF ranted about his payouts being dwarfed by newly signed WWE guys and called Khan a mark. He demanded to be fired. During the commercial break, he exited through the crowd. Warner Media executives were present for the promo, reportedly rendering MJF persona non grata and scrubbing him from AEW promotional material. Fans speculated on whether the angle was a work or MJF genuinely going off script. MJF remained off of TV for months, finally returning at All Out to win the casino ladder match for a shot at the world title. Khan granted him a raise, reportedly in the ballpark of $1 million, without extending his original contract. MJF won the title at Full Gear and has stuck around in AEW ever since. He officially re-signed with the company in May 2024, even showing off an AEW tattoo that he may or may not have since gotten removed. In June 2020, indie darling David Starr was accused of sexual assault. In the following weeks, dozens of wrestlers spoke out about other instances of misconduct in the industry. The ex-girlfriend of Jimmy Havoc, then an AEW star, accused him of abuse and sexually assaulting someone else. Progress's David Lloyd also accused Havoc of punching him at a bar after an event. AEW issued a statement that Havoc had been released from his contract and that he was also receiving mental health and substance abuse counseling. Havoc hasn't wrestled since. Yet others have remained in spite of allegations. Holly Cromwell accused Darby Allin of emotional and sexual abuse between 2016 and 2017. Allin wasn't publicly disciplined for the controversy and has become a key young star for AEW. When he was still with Ring of Honor, Jay Lethal denied claims of harassment by Kelly Klein a few years after Taylor Hendricks made similar accusations in 2018. Lethal became All Elite at Full Gear 2021, with his signing being met with some criticism from commentators. While he wasn't accused of sexual misconduct himself, Will Ospreay was said to have had independent wrestler Pollyanna blacklisted for making accusations toward a friend of his. Ospreay has denied the allegations. New Japan pushed Ospreay in that summer's G1 tournament, and he debuted for AEW in May 2022. Ospreay has since become one of AEW's top stars. In January 2016, years before AEW even started, Sammy Guevara went on the Raw's 4th Hour podcast. Guevara had just tried out for WWE. He apparently got to see Mercedes Moné, who was then known as Sasha Banks. Guevara said on the podcast that she was so attractive, he was tempted to sexually assault her. The comments resurfaced in 2020 and were met with massive outcry. Guevara issued an apology video, and AEW released a statement on X condemning the comments. The company suspended Guevara indefinitely without pay and required him to attend sensitivity training. Monet and Guevara reportedly had a private meeting where he apologized directly to her. Monet posted about it on X condemning what Guevara said and adding, "We all have to do better, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come." Guevara returned after 30 days away, but it wasn't the last time problems would arise from him running his mouth. 2 weeks before All Out 2022, Guevara cut a promo on his scheduled opponent for the show, Eddie Kingston, calling him a fat piece of Guevara claimed that upon arriving backstage, Kingston made a big scene and got physical with him. The segment was cut from the episode and the match was quietly shelved. Kingston served a short-term suspension. Guevara reportedly wasn't disciplined. Kingston owned up to his culpability in the incident, telling PW Insider, "I was wrong for being unprofessional. The public can judge that, but I know for a fact I was wrong." Guevara got into it with another co-worker, Andrade, in October 2022. They had worked a TNT title match that February. Andrade told Mas Lucha that Guevara had complained about Andrade's stiff in-ring work, but not to his face. Guevara then took to X, calling Andrade a favor hire. At that week's Dynamite, the two reportedly had a physical altercation before airtime. Sports Illustrated reported that Andrade was sent home while Guevara stayed for his scheduled tag match. The crowd booed him out of the building. In a vlog later that month, Guevara made it clear he was ready to move on.
I'm done focusing on the negativity. I'm not gonna comment on any of the bull.
Both members of the Acclaimed are now trying to make a go of it as single stars, but their run as a tag team was a huge success, spawning some popular catchphrases and culminating with the tag title run in 2022 and 2023. It almost never got off the ground, though. Part of the gimmick was Platinum Max Caster rapping his way to the ring alongside his partner Anthony Bowens. Caster would run down his opponents while also peppering in lines about the news of the day. On the 100th episode of AEW Dark in August 2021, Caster referenced superstar gymnast Simone Biles' mental health crisis, the Duke lacrosse teen case, fake COVID-19 PCR tests, and made sexual reference to the then 19-year-old Julia Hart. While the rap was initially broadcast live, it was removed from the final version of the show. Tony Khan called the rap terrible and said it shouldn't have made it to air. As a result of the incident, Caster's raps started being screened for approval. The team's match was axed from the following week's Dark, and Caster was kept off of programming until September 1st. On Dark, the Acclaimed parodied their disciplining with an overly scripted promo praising the Jacksonville Jaguars, the NFL team Khan's family owns, on an episode of Dark. Brian Kendrick was released from WWE in February 2022. The same day he was released, AEW announced on X that Kendrick would face Jon Moxley on Dynamite the following day. But that match was quickly scrapped when some past comments Kendrick made resurfaced. An avid conspiracy theorist, Kendrick had denied Holocaust fatality statistics and claimed the Sandy Hook school shooting was a hoax. Kendrick went on the Duke Loves Wrastlin' podcast and explained that he made the comments to create a buzz and get bookings as a heel. He added, "I am sorry for anybody, to people I hurt, for making light of stuff that happened to them or their family. I hope you accept that." That said, others indicated it was more than just an act. Kendrick's former tag team partner, Paul London, remembered his off-putting backstage etiquette and commented on the controversy, saying, "I hope he understands the weight of what he said." Kendrick has returned to WWE a handful of times to produce one-off matches in the years since, but otherwise mostly works in his own promotion in Southern California. Masked commentator Excalibur has more or less become the voice of AEW, but attempts at edgy wrestling angles in the years before AEW started changed some perceptions of him. Excalibur made his name as one of the founders of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, the Southern California promotion that created a lot of buzz in the 2000s and 2010s. In 2020, Forbes reported on promos from Excalibur's time as a wrestler in which he, alongside now WWE star Kevin Owens, used racial slurs, including the N-word in promos to draw heat. Excalibur did not, nor anyone else involved in the angles, make a public statement, but Dave Meltzer reported that the performers expressed regret. After the Forbes article came out, Excalibur reported to that week's Dynamite taping, but heel by nature claims he insisted on being kept off camera to avoid causing a stir. The Human Tornado, one of the people toward whom the slurs were directed, expressed support for both Excalibur and Owens on X. Excalibur returned to television around a month later. Though he's one of the top guys in WWE now, Cody Rhodes was pretty much the face of AEW in its early days. until the fans turned on him. Within the first few months of AEW's existence, Rhodes lost the opportunity to ever again challenge for the world title. So instead, he won and carried the TNT Championship for quite a while as a vehicle to bring himself and others to prominence. One such feud was with the debuting Anthony Ogogo, an English former Olympic boxer. In the build to Double or Nothing 2021, Ogogo was framed as a typical anti-American heel. Rhodes delivered a promo championing the impending birth of his biracial daughter as the success of the American experiment, despite Ogogo also being biracial. It felt like a relic of the 1980s, using dated nationalist sentiment to get Rhodes over as patriotic. Fans saw the segment as tone-deaf in a political climate of civil demonstrations across the country. Before long, crowds were booing Rhodes, despite him still being presented as a top babyface.
I regret that and almost everything about the Anthony Ogogo angle. Almost everything about it.
Willie Urbina was calling the action from the Spanish announce booth on the May 29, 2021 episode of Dynamite. Then women's champion Hikaru Shida, who was Japanese, was delivering a promo when booth mate Alex Abrahantes asked Urbina to translate. Urbina responded by speaking gibberish with a stereotypical Asian dialect. American viewers didn't catch the moment, but it aired on international feeds. Numerous fans complained, and Urbina was fired only hours after the broadcast concluded. Tony Khan personally apologized to Shida as he revealed at the Double or Nothing post-show media scrum. Shida took to X to provide her take on the situation, saying, "I don't give a what other people say about my race because I love it and am proud of it." Unlike WWE's TV PG programming, all of AEW's shows are TV 14, and they embrace being able to get a little bloody sometimes. After all, one of their signature shows is blood and guts, but getting violent in a match did backfire a bit at Fight for the Fallen 2021. Chris Jericho was facing deathmatch legend Nick Gage, and just as Gage was slicing into Jericho's forehead with a pizza cutter, the show went to a picture-in-picture commercial for Domino's. It featured a pizza cutter tearing some of the chain's pie in a weird moment of serendipity. Variety reported that Domino's didn't see the humor in it. The company issued a statement that they had no knowledge of the spot beforehand and refused to endorse the gory scene. Gage tweeted an apology saying he must be too ultra-violent for TV. Jericho reflected on the controversy with humor on his Talk is Jericho podcast, calling it hilarious. Jon Moxley gave a lax take on the situation, telling Cincy 360 that Domino's needed to chill out and that it was a coincidence. Things got scary during Matt Hardy's match with Sammy Guevara at All Out 2020. When Guevara speared Hardy off of a scissor lift in the backstage area, Hardy was supposed to go through a set of tables, but he cleared them and hit his head on the concrete. Hardy was clearly dazed, but somehow allowed to continue the match, eventually winning. Lots of fans critiqued the choice to continue the match rather than stop it. In the post-show media scrum, Tony Khan cited ringside physician Dr. Michael Sampson's approval as the green light to continue the match. Sports Illustrated described the accident as frightening. Hardy's wife, Rebby Hardy, took to Twitter to shame AEW for their handling of the situation, screen capping several panicked messages she sent to her husband. Fightful reported that after multiple brain scans, Matt wasn't diagnosed with a concussion and returned on Dynamite.